Over the years, he has been one of the biggest advocates for the WNBA, and ever since he was drafted in 2009, has been the most influential player in the NBA. Not to take away from players who've paved the way such as Michael Jordan or even Kobe, but he's different. Hey, what's happening everyone? This is Swish Culture. Back in 2010, despite being valued at just $350 million, Joe Lacob and Peter Guber purchased the Warriors franchise for $450 million and predicted that the Warriors will win a championship in just 5 years. 5 years later, Stephen Curry hoisted the Larry O'Brien Trophy after having led the Golden State Warriors to their first title in 40 years. The Warriors wouldn't stop there, however, as the franchise would start pulling in massive amounts of revenue, as well as sold-out seats night in and night out at the Oracle Arena. This led to the team's value skyrocketing up to $1.9 billion in 2016, shortly after winning their first recent championship. This was only the beginning of the massive rise in the NBA juggernaut. Over the course of the next 3 years, the franchise value would double that amount, allowing Joe Lacob to further expand by moving to a much larger arena, the latest and greatest Chase Center. This would serve as a springboard for yet another revenue increase that led to another doubling of the franchise's worth over the course of the next 3 years. Every seat in Chase Center is sold out on a nightly basis, drawing in a limitless number of fans to witness and experience the dynasty. And the engine behind all this? Stephen Curry. Now the Warriors franchise will embark on another mission. Their sights are set on the WNBA, and the hope is that with the burgeoning franchise that is the Golden State Warriors, the same measure of success will be carried on with the Bay Area's own WNBA team, Golden State's Amazon Warriors. Okay, well, that technically isn't their name just yet, but I honestly can't think of anything more fitting. We'll talk about that as well as every known detail behind this new Golden State team that will be playing right alongside the Warriors in Chase Center. But before that, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content. So without further delay, let's get to it. As of 2025, the Golden State Warriors Arena will be featuring their own WNBA team, whom Joe Lacob has predicted will win a WNBA championship within the next 5 years. While there isn't a name yet for this future team, it will be prefaced by Golden State. In other words, the Amazon Warriors is very unlikely, but you could see something like Golden State Shield or, well, Golden State anything, depending on how management wants to swing it. I'm just saying I've got 2 sweet options if I ever get a call. Post a name in the comments below and who knows, if you guys watch and share this video, your entry just might get in front of the big guys. So how did the Warriors even contemplate getting a WNBA team? What does this do for the franchise, and what does it do for the WNBA as a whole? Well, the goal of the league first and foremost is to expand. While the WNBA is a part of the NBA, they have their own commissioner and basically an entire separate board. With only 12 current teams hosting a total of 144 players, that is 12 per team, there's a lot of expansion to begin catching up to the NBA. This new Golden State team will be one of 2 to go active in 2025, including a team rumored to be going to Portland. Unfortunately, expanding the WNBA isn't as easy as setting up shop in another 18 cities. Not only would it take years and a lot of money, but there's also the risk of failure with vetting owners. It is at this juncture that the success of the Golden State Warriors comes into play and what makes it the perfect testbed for the expansion of the WNBA. It also helps that Joe Lacob could afford the exorbitant franchise fee that exceeded any such prior fee charged for the inauguration of any of the other teams. Now, this isn't the first time that the league has had more than 12 teams, as it actually had 16 teams between 2000 and 2002, at which point they lost both the Miami Soul and Portland Fire. They lost a further 2 teams, the Houston Comets and the Sacramento Monarchs in 2008 and 2009 respectively, bringing it to just 12 teams. The Sacramento Monarchs at the time folded when the owners, due to the economic downturn, had hit hard financial times. Since then, it's just been a waiting game for the right circumstances to develop. Basically, it boils down to this. The team in the Bay Area has made a ridiculous amount of money and the NBA wants more of it. That's not to say there's a problem with having a WNBA team in the Bay. It's actually a good thing, as typically the WNBA isn't associated with any money-making ventures. That means it's generating income, but after all the costs are taken into account, there just isn't enough cash to go around. This cash has been coming from the NBA. Things have been changing as of recently, however, as the WNBA last season garnered 627,000 views on average while being aired on ABC. This is the most views of any season in 11 years. Fan attendance has been up, and just overall interest in the WNBA have been heading in a positive direction. This has led the Warriors franchise, with its billions of dollars and experience in running a successful sports team, to successfully outbid a number of other suitors for the next WNBA destination. Joe Lacob committed to putting the full resources of the Golden State Warriors behind this new women's team. In order to get things rolling, the plan is to poach players from the 6 Division I college teams in the Bay Area for the new team. Okay, maybe that wasn't the exact wording, but San Francisco has a significant hub for female athletics. It wouldn't be surprising that the team could field a number of homegrown talents on the roster. One such name is Sabrina Ionescu, who likely won't be playing in the Bay anytime soon, but is originally from the area. So how would they actually go about getting players? In order to expand, the league would allow teams to protect a number of their players, likely 1 through 6, and the new team or teams will select from the remaining players who don't have protected status. So a team of the presumably best bench players will end up competing, which in most cases typically leads to a team doing poorly and winning the lottery. After a couple of years, this tends to even out, which will then give Lacob maybe another 3 years to go from being an average team to winning a title. So with the Warriors having a women's team, now what? The team will be practicing in Oakland, where the Golden State Warriors trained up until 2019. Their games, however, will be held at the Chase Center. Women's games average 6,600 seats per on average, however. Chase Center has the capacity for over 18,000. Good thing the WNBA popularity is increasing. They'll have access to all these same facilities and given equal footing to provide for as much success as is possible. They've even started collecting deposits on seats, with 2,000 such deposits having already been collected. 2 years out, and already Lacob is getting a return on Steph Curry's Lacob's investment. Overall, this means big things for women's basketball in San Francisco. While the WNBA has not been profitable as a whole, there are 6 teams that have turned a profit. They're just balanced out by the ones that haven't. This means that the Warriors ownership has a huge opportunity to show that if the conditions are right and in the right ownership, not only will a women's basketball team be able to turn a profit, but they can be successful with the proper investment. But what about the other side of the coin? In the same vein, an unsuccessful run for the Warriors could set the league back a couple of decades. If this new franchise doesn't live up to the expectations, with all the support and backing from the financial reserves, as well as the ability to use a facility that was funded by the men's basketball team at a juncture when things are supposed to be looking better than ever, this creates a very big problem. The result of this expansion experiment has implications for not just the rest of the WNBA, but for the future of the entire league as well. With only 12 players per team, they're going to struggle to pay the overhead with a commodity that is not nearly as valued as one that it's being run parallel to. Not everyone who buys a seat at Chase Center can afford to see all the men's and women's games, so unless the tickets are structured and sold together, some folks will have to sacrifice seeing the men's games so they can support the women's basketball and catch a few games there. Now, the majority of attendees will likely only be able to see a few games per year. Little Johnny, for example, will have a choice between seeing Steph Curry play basketball for the first time, but you telling me he has to choose between Steph Curry or going to see the women's game with much less notoriety, I don't need to tell you which one he's going to choose. Now, tickets will more than likely cost less for the women's games, which gives some folks more access, but with just looking at these small differences, you can already see the impact. This is the unfortunate reality of women's basketball. The lack of interest is one of the primary drivers behind the lack of revenue stream and has been the reason why it's continuing to struggle to get off the ground. If there's anything we've learned, is that all it takes is that the ownership feels a bit of pressure financially for an entire team to fold. While the Bay Area does have its advantages, being the tech hub of the US, it can really put a squeeze on affordability for many living in the area. That means the very thing that the league and club owners are looking towards as far as bringing success to the new women's franchise could provide a catalyst for potential failure later on. The point is that it will still be an uphill battle to get women's basketball off the ground. One neat thing is that out of the 12 current teams, only 6 are associated with a men's basketball team. So when the franchise becomes active, it will be the 7th basketball team. That being said, this move by the franchise is fully supported by Steph, Klay, Steve Kerr, and pretty much the entire roster. If nothing else, it will be pretty interesting to see the Golden State Warriors have a WNBA team, and if it all works out, to watch this team grow the same way the Golden State Warriors did. Let me know if I left anything out and whether or not you think this new team will be successful. Again, Joe Lacob is taking name suggestions, so post the name of the team you'd like in the comments below, and who knows, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Until next time, swoosh.